Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And thank you for using the new link. We had some technical issues with the old one, so thank you for coming in. I can see that there are 12 people online now, so let's just give it another minute. Hello. Okay, so Henriette Dybkjær, she's just saying that we should tell something about tidbits. I can start saying that normally it should have been Henriette doing this presentation, but we've had some technical issues, so I'm doing the presentation. And all of you who have logged in, you are the very first ones to try out our new MDC tidbits, which is a totally new concept that we have made during this Corona time. Normally, we would have invited you for physical events, and we are so sad that we cannot make them. So instead, we made this new concept, inviting you to listen about some maritime trends, analysis, and stories every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So stay tuned and look for our emails and our website, and then you can follow us. But Jens Peter, I think let's start it. I will. First of all, I would like to say hello, and then I'll pass on the stage to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So welcome everyone to this Corona premiere. Today we will listen to Jens Peter Høgh from Palo Alto. And I hope that you have brought your lunch and that you're ready for this first tidbit. As I just said before, our tidbit concept is that you can log in during your lunch and listen to some information, some maritime stories, trends, and tips, and analysis every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tomorrow we will listen to Peter Sand from BIMCO, and on Thursday we will have a live story from Manila when Inger Thorhag is going live. But let's get started, and I hope that you will show some patience today because we've had some technical issues, and it's actually from the platform that we're doing this webinar from. So we're doing it step by step. I really hope that you will enjoy it. So I'll pass on the stage to Jens Peter Høgh. He is a white hat hacker. He is one of the good guys, and I am looking forward to hear your presentation. And Jens Peter, you will tell me when I'm changing the slides. So I'll pass on the stage to you.
Thank you, and thank you all for joining. I'm here today representing Care Data, which is a part of the MTC community, and I'm here to tell you about some of the security issues of working at home during these times. Yeah, if we could start the presentation and minimize our videos.
Yes. So.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, next slide, please. So the agenda of the day is I'm going to talk a bit about that the network parameter for the enterprises has moved at home since we went at home. We're going to talk a bit about the cybersecurity risks from when working from home. Then we're going to perform a live hack, which is not really live. It's done via a YouTube video of one of the world's most famous hackers, which is a guy named Kevin Mitnick. I'll get back to him later. And then I'll end up how to secure the new parameter, how to secure our home environment, And then we will have a Q&A session, question and answer session at the end. The entire webinar is supposed to be, including Q&As, is at most 30 minutes. So yeah, let's continue. Next slide, please. So in these days, when we have moved our workspace from our company to home, the enterprise security, which the companies have spent a lot of money on building up, is actually broken. What we have seen is some enterprises were not ready to the load of home workers, so they had to buy in new equipment. Somebody was unable to bring home their working equipment, so they had to use their private equipment. And they had to combine the use of the equipment, so it was used both private for private use, like private web browsing, shopping, and stuff like that, as well as it was used for company use. Many companies has had a lack of bandwidth, had lacks of VPN capacity. So even though the employees had equipment, they were not able to work, and they had time slots in which they were allowed to work. There has been a lot of issues about remote meeting tools like this one, all confidentiality problems when having online meetings instead of on-premise meetings. I don't know if you all have heard about like Zoom. Zoom had very poor security, and the encryption was not strong. So that was actually one of the things that got hacked during this time. So yeah, that's pretty much the context of today. So next slide, please. So the challenges we're facing when working from home is actually people get very stressed. It's inconvenient to work from home. If you're used to work in an office, used to have colleagues around you, you get stressed when you're working from home. You also get distracted. You could have your kids at home. They are not allowed to be in school. You can have your family at home. You can be distressed of other factors, like if you have a next of kin which has caught an illness. All kind of distractions and stress actually lowers the concern for people when they're working at home, so they get easier to attack. Devices are used both for private use and for work use. Could be that the kids suddenly plays on the working computer, and via these games might have some malicious content installed on the machines. So again, we compromise the security of our work if we let our kids use our work devices. Equipment which is in companies, when it's inside the office, usually it's high-end equipment. It's enterprise grade, as we call it, so it has high security levels. It has high performance. The equipment we use as home is home use products. It's low-end routers, low-end firewalls, low-end Wi-Fi. So the security could be really, really poor in these equipments. And also, they might be installed with default passwords. They have not been patched, so they could be really, really poor. And if you hack the router, it's very easy to move forward from the router and hack the endpoints. Could be that the Wi-Fi in the house is unsecured. We have an open Wi-Fi. It's much easier, or a weak password. So it's very easy to hack the Wi-Fi when working from home. Also a very, very easy way to hack the environment. We could have IoTs, which is devices which is connected to the internet. Could be light switches. I know IKEA has light switches, which is online, so you can, via an app on your phone, you can turn off and on your light. Could be other kinds of environmental controls, could be your heating system, could be your refrigerator, your washing machine, whatever. And they could all be compromised if you haven't changed or patched the software on these devices. So all kind of devices connected to the same network as our working environment. We also could have low-end antivirus products on the endpoints instead of the of the high end, which the company provides. Then on our private devices, it might be a free version. It might not have been updated. It might be legacy product. So all these things do a risk for us. Next one, please. So I have a 6-minute video showing how Kevin Mitnick, which I said in the introduction is a very famous hacker. He was one of the first one who got famous, and actually the FBI had a case running against him. And while he was in prison, all the case acts from his case disappeared in the archive of FBI. Nobody knows how, but it happened somehow. And Kevin Mitnick is doing this presentation on how to hack. And what he hacks is actually a distressed man that received an invite to a LinkedIn seminar, and via this LinkedIn seminar, he hacks his account. And like the one on the picture, it's very easy to get distracted when you work at home. So yeah, the video is 6 minutes, so let's run the video.
Kevin Mitnick, KnowBe4's Chief Hacking Officer. And a lot of people ask me,
and this is one of our difficulties.
KnowBe4's Chief Hacking Officer. And a lot of people ask me if they enable two-factor authentication on the websites that they use, does that stop phishing attacks? And let's take a look at that. So what exactly is two-factor authentication? That's when you log into a website, for example, and not only do you have to put in your username and password, but the website actually sends you a code via SMS, or you might have an application on your mobile device that displays a code that you have to enter into the website to log in. And that is proving that you actually have your mobile device. So it's a form of authentication that's based on something that you have, and your password is something that you know. So a good friend of mine developed this demo, Kuba Gretzky, that demonstrates how a bad guy could phish you even though you've enabled two-factor authentication. So let's take a look at how this works. So I'm logged into my Gmail account, and if you take a look in the second email here, I'll go ahead and open it. It appears to be an email from LinkedIn. And ordinarily, when somebody wants to join your network on LinkedIn, LinkedIn will actually send an email to your email address notifying you of that. And if you're interested, you can go ahead and click interested, log into your LinkedIn account, and authorize that person to actually become a connection. So if we take a look here, we have an email from LinkedIn that says, Kevin, I've read about your adventures in Ghost in the Wires and so on, and this person wants to join my network. But this is actually a phishing attack. If we take a look here at where the email is originating from, it's not at linkedin.com, it's at this domain called llnked.com, which people might overlook. So let's go ahead and pretend that we're the victim here and go ahead and click on interested. And what that is going to do, it's going to redirect us to the LinkedIn website to go ahead and log in. But let's move this over to the right and let that load. And if you take a look over here, we have a blank white page, which is going to become very important in a moment. And this is the attacker terminal session. So let's go ahead and bring back the virtual machine that's now connected to LinkedIn to authenticate, because we, again, clicked on interested in the email. So we'll go ahead and put in a username, Johnny Boy, at mitnicksecurity.com. And now we're going to go ahead and put in our secret password. And then we're going to go ahead and click sign in. And when we click sign in, it's not going to allow us to log in. What LinkedIn is going to do is request our two-factor authentication code that LinkedIn is going to actually send to my mobile phone. And in a moment, you should hear a sound that the text message was received on my mobile phone. So let's go ahead and click sign in. And here we go. It's telling us that two-step authentication is enabled. We just heard a message come into my mobile device. We're going to uncheck this box that says recognize this device in the future. And I'm going to open my mobile device to take a look and see what the text message is, or what the code is rather. So the code here is 421476. We're going to go ahead and click verify. And when we do so, it's going to log us into my LinkedIn account. So now we're logged into the LinkedIn account, but let's take a look at the attacker session over here on the left. So we're going to scoot this over to the right. And over here, what we have is what we're able to intercept. So we're able to intercept the email address, which is johnnyboy@mitnicksecurity.com. We're also able to intercept the password to the account, which is no before rocks. And over here, this is not the actual 6-digit code that was intercepted, because you can't really use the 6-digit code again, the second factor. But what we're able to do is intercept the session cookie. And if you're able to steal the session cookie, or if rather the attacker is able to do so, they don't even need your username or password or second factor code. They could simply load the session key into a browser and they actually become you. So let me show you how this works. We're going to highlight the cookie. We're going to copy it to the clipboard, and then we're simply going to open up Chrome in incognito mode. And incognito mode just means with privacy. So now we're going to go to the real LinkedIn website. When we go here, obviously we're not authenticated. Now it's, wants us to log in with our credentials, but we don't have to do so. We're going to go ahead and go into developer tools. We're going to go into the console, and what we're going to paste into the console is the session cookie that we stole from the victim, which was myself, by the way. I'm going to enter it. I'm going to go ahead and close the session. Now, all I simply have to do to be logged into the victim's account with their session cookie is simply hit refresh now. So I hit refresh, and here we are. We've logged in, or rather hacked my own account. So will two-factor authentication actually stop phishing attacks? Well, you can see that the answer is simply no. So what do you need to do to protect your organization? Well, of course, you need to have user education and training. That's a no-brainer. But you also have to conduct simulated phishing attacks, so you can inoculate your users against this type of risk. And more importantly, you have to stop, you have to look and think before you click that link.
So thank you. Back to the presentation.
Yeah.
We've all got our smartphones. We got our laptops.
Nobody here uses wireless, do they?
Well,
Okay.
I'll be honest. I shut mine off before I came up here.
So I think it's
Okay,
back there.
So as you all can see in the video, it's very urgent to stay alert even when you're working from home, and it's actually very, very easy to do a phish, and especially if you are a bit distracted or in an inconvenient environment. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. So my last slide here is how what we can do and how we can ensure the things. And of course, we need to secure the new parameter. We need to secure the things at home. So we need to be sure that when people are working from home, they have a high-end endpoint protection in place. So instead of having these low-end protections, they need really, really high-end and enterprise-grade equipment to bring it home. We need to use behavior analytics. We need to have AI machine learning that looks at the typical behavior of the users. And of course, this is done all in the IT department. The IT department needs to know if somebody works in a different way than they usually does, so we have an alert. Let's say somebody usually works with Office documents, and suddenly they start looking into different network tools and stuff like that, hacking tools, then it should raise an alert. We should always use an always-on VPN solution. So every time a corporate device is booted, that it actually connects to the corporate and is part of the corporate network again. So all the money spent to secure the parameter actually is still being used. And that being said, we should avoid the split tunneling technology, which is what some companies have done because they didn't have the sufficient resources in place. So they said that if you need to access enterprise data, you can use the VPN, but all other traffic is actually on your own network. So if you browse the news, you will do it locally, while when you connect to your company things, it's done via VPN. And the problem doing this is that you could actually open a direct tunnel for the hackers. So they use the local breakout to hack your device, and then they use the VPN tunnel to access. And of course, on all endpoints in your home, use the built-in firewalls. In your Windows machine, activate your Windows firewalls. In your Mac, activate your Mac firewalls. Be sure to upgrade your firmware. So upgrade the software on your routers, your modems, your Wi-Fi, whatever. Make sure you have the newest available firmware available on those devices. Change the default password, even on your light switches from IKEA, if possible. Do not use company device for personal use. That's very important, actually. Never, ever use your work devices privately. It's very important. And of course, educate the people. Educate people so they are aware of what to look for in phish attacks and stuff like that. Next one. This brings me to all your questions, if you have any questions. And is the end of my presentation. You can either unmute yourself if that's possible, or you can type your questions in the chat. So does anybody have any questions? Doesn't seem to be, yeah. Why shouldn't we use our work computer for private email, etc.? Problem is that the company, when you receive an email in your company, it's typical going through different cybersecurity filters. It might be scanned for malware. It might be done a lot of things with it. If you use it for a private email, you might be able to receive emails from which hold malware. So unintentionally, you could risk to download something bad via these emails into your company device. And on that behalf, you could open a communication channel for the hackers to use to hack the device. So you will actually, again, you could risk compromising the enterprise security if you have an unsanctioned and not scanned application running on your device. And the same goes for if you have like kids gaming, if you're using it for web browsing, you can have in web browsing, you can have what's called a drive-by download. So there could be malware on a web server, and this malware could potentially end up being a leak in the company's cybersecurity plan. Does that answer your question? That's good. Any other questions? Of course, all this, if you have further question or you need to know more about this and how you can do things like that, I would recommend that you should contact Care Data, which is, as I said in the beginning, part of this network as well. By no other way, Henriette can provide you info. Should we use VPN on private PCs too? From my point of view, depending if you connect to an enterprise network or if it's just for browsing, just for running private use. For private use, I don't see any reasons to do it. You could anonymize things, but again, depending on what you see it. I would never use a VPN on my private device. But if I have to access corporate data, corporate stuff of course, I would use a VPN, but I would never allow a private PC to access corporate data. Does that make sense? Good. So, yeah. What about on mobile devices? Mobile devices, again, if they need access to corporate, they should be in some kind of control of a corporate environment, and you can run VPN on corporate devices. You can run, if you have your email, you have stuff like that, you can run it in private containers. Mobile devices is actually quite vulnerable. It's quite intentionally I didn't speak about them in this presentation because it would be so much longer. But let's say, for example, an Apple device and an iPhone tells very, very much about what you do. It actually logs where you are. You can see your history, even though it's not activated, you can see your history. You would know it if you connect to a car. If you connect your iPhone to a car, you will get told how far is it to home every time. You can find your car via the iPhone, and that's actually why. That's actually because the iPhone locks all of your beings, all your locations. Android does the same, so it's not a particularly iPhone problem. But there is a lot of issues to mobile devices, and my recommends, Big Brother is watching. My recommendations is that corporate devices, when connecting to corporate mobile devices connecting to corporate networks, should have at least some closed containers in which they handle this connection. Does that answer your question? That's good. Yeah, if you use your private mobile phone to check your work email, probably your company has something in place which allows this access. And otherwise, if not, let's say that you use Microsoft Office 365, then they should the company should ensure that your device is kept and the data is kept in a closed container. There's not much you can do except, of course, being aware of where your phone goes and what it's used for. An advice on a good password. A good password, I usually use sentences instead of a password. So a password sentence could be drive my bike 500 km could be a password instead of just having a password. And then, of course, use all the special digits and lower and uppercase letters and so on. But as you saw in the video, password is actually not. Password is not that important. It's very easy to hack a password, and as Kevin had showed in the video, you don't even need the password to hack it. So yeah. One of the first thing a hacker would do is if you remember your password in your browser when you log in, the first thing a hacker does every time that they take over a machine is start to dump the cookies of the browser, so they would have all the passwords. So if you use the same password in different places, it's very, very easy. That's why you shouldn't. Okay, I think we're close to 12:30, so we have to go back to work, everybody.
Okay, now I'm back here. Okay, thank you so much, Jens Peter. It was really interesting, and I think that most of us can use your advices and your recommendations I think that I have to look into my own passwords for now and make some different ones at least. And thank you to all the participants who showed up. I'm sorry about jumping a little bit back and forth into the PowerPoints, but I think we made it at least to the end. And you came with your good presentation, Jens Peter. So thank you so much for now.
Thank you.
And, yeah, for everyone else, thank you. It's 30 minutes now, and remember to sign up for the next tidbits tomorrow and Thursday. So have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.